Hi, my name is Mohammed Faisal Tariq, and today I'll be showing you how to create a virtual assistant using IBM Watson conversation services. So the chatbot or the conversation virtual assistant that we would be creating would be able to assist us with the admissions information of a particular university, and it would also be able to set up appointments with the student counselor. So the first thing that we need to do is create a free account on IBM Clouds. So I already have an account, so I'll just log in. So you can see that I already have logged in recently, so it's logged me in. So the first thing that you need to check is that you have a space set up in your organizations. An organization is a space actually um, where you can organize all your projects, and then within an organization we have a space. You can read about it in the documentation. Most probably when you create the account, the name of the organization would be the same as your email, and then you can check your space by going into spaces over here. You can see that I already have a space named dev in the US South region, and I'm the manager of this space. And you can, even if you don't have one, you can create a new one from here. Add a space. Okay. So I'll just go back to the catalog section where all the services are present. There are a lot of services that are being offered by IBM Cloud. The service we are actually interested in the Cloud and DB service. So this is a NoSQL JSON document database that is provided by IBM Cloud. Sorry about this error. This error is appearing because of the previous project that I created and deleted. So I'll just name the service as it is. I can select a region in which I want to deploy the service. You can see that there are quite a lot of regions. I'll just select US South, that is by default. Just remain it this as default, and select use both legacy credentials and this, and make sure in the pricing plans you have selected the free pricing plan, that is the light plan. There are other paid plans over here at the bottom too. So once you are done with this, click on the create button and it would create the service for you. I would like to tell you that IBM conversation services are really amazing, and you don't need to be an expert of programming in order to create a virtual assistant or a chatbot using these kind of services. So you can see that the service has been created, and I can launch the cloud dashboard in order to check the data inside the database, but I don't need to. Let's just go back to the dashboard to see the service is present over here. Okay, so we have created this database service in order to store information related to the appointments, the date of the appointment, and most probably we'll be storing the phone number of the person who is making the appointment. Okay, so this was for this person purpose. Now we'll go back to the catalog section and we'll create a conversation service. You can see that IBM Watson, formerly conversation service. So I'll click on this. You can see that it provides a service name by default. By the way, this is a unique name that is chosen by the IBM Cloud itself. So just wait for a second. I'm sorry about this. This error won't appear on your end, so don't worry about it. US South, I've chosen the region. This is the organization name and the space name. Make sure that you have selected the light pricing plan, and then you can click on the create button in order to create the service. Once the service has been created, you would be redirected to a page where you would be provided with credentials and the URL using which you can access the conversation virtual assistant. So in order to create it, we'll go click on the launch tool to open up the launch tool over here. Launch tool is actually like the workspace environment where you would be doing all the work. So you would be landing on a page over like this, and you can see that there is a lot of useful content over here provided by IBM, and you can watch a lot of demos and videos over here and learn a lot of things. So I'll not just go through it, you can go through it if you want to. There is a sample service that is provided by IBM. You can edit this sample or test it out if you want to, but we will be creating a new workspace for our project. We'll be calling the virtual assistant BTalk. The description would be that virtual assistant for admission information and making appointments. You can just provide any description that you want to. I'll click on the create button, and now we come to the main things that the main workspace area where we would be creating different things. So let's go through. You can see that there are intents, entities, dialogues, and some more things over here. So let's go through these things, and let's talk about them a little bit to know what they really are. So I'll go back to my presentation, and an intent is something the user intends to communicate to the virtual assistant, or the goal that the user is trying to achieve by providing certain questions, by asking certain questions from the virtual assistant and providing information. And an entity is words or objects that provide more context to the user questions. So when similar entities are clustered together, they form an intent. So I'll explain this a bit more in the next slide, and you would be able to understand it better. Now the dialogue is like the flow of the conversation, and it is based on the intent of the user and the entities that are detected by the virtual assistant. Okay, so let's say that a person types in a question that what programs are being offered at the university. So over here programs is our entity. Okay, so we know that the user wants to know about the programs, but the main goal of the user is to get information related to admissions. So this is our intent. Similarly, what is the fee structure? So in this question, fee is our entity, and the intent of the user is to get information related to admissions. Similarly, what is the eligibility criteria? Eligibility criteria becomes our entity, and the intent is to get information related to admissions. So when similar entities which are pointing in one direction or which are pointing to a particular goal are clustered together, they form an intent. Okay, so we'll take another example. So let's say that we are creating a virtual assistant for a hotel. So in using that virtual assistant, a user wants to find where the gym is. So gym would be the entity over here, and the goal of the user or the intent of the user is to get directions to the gym. So directions is our intent. Similarly, if he wants to know where the swimming pool is, then the swimming pool would be our entity, and the goal or the intent of the user is to get directions. The directions could be leading him to anywhere in the hotel. They might be leading him to the swimming pool, the gym, the reception, the sonava, anyway. So this is, I hope I've made clear what intents and entities are. So we'll start by creating an intent over here. By the way, an intent is recognized or symbolized by a hash symbol at the front. Admission, and in the description we'll say that things user might say in order to get information related to admissions. So I'll create the intent, and then what we need to do is we need to train our assistant using user examples. Now over here, these are our user examples. The question that might be asked by a user are used by Watson in order to train it, and once it's trained, it would be able to detect similar kind of things and then decide what the intent of the user is and what the user is trying to achieve. Okay, so let's add some user examples. What programs are offered? Let's say, what is the eligibility criteria for CS computer science? What is the eligibility criteria for BBA business administration? I'll just copy this for the next one and add example, then I'll paste it again and type in engineering. So the least number of examples that can be used to train the Watson, the recommended number of examples that are used to train the Watson are between 5 to 10, but the more the examples, the better would be the results that are produced by the virtual assistant. So let's add another one. We haven't added anything related to fee. Once you have created an intent like this with user examples, we can try it out over here. You can see that when I open the try it panel, it says that Watson is training. Now it would be training using all these questions or user examples that are provided by us. So once it's done training, we can test it out. Let's go back for the meanwhile, and let's create some entities. Now in the entities section, an entity is denoted by the @ symbol. So let's create an entity of program, and let's add value for this entity. So we have CS computer science, add value, BBA business administration. Actually these are synonyms for this value. You can add multiple synonyms also, and then at the end we would add another entity value, that is engineering. And eligibility criteria. Now the fuzzy matching is on over here, and the fuzzy matching means that even if you do any kind of spelling mistakes or anything else, it would be able to detect all these entities. Okay, so if you go over here, you can see that it says fuzzy matching will increase the ability for Watson to recognize misspelled entity values. So you can turn it on or off based on your preference. I'll leave it turned on. So the Watson is training again. I'll just wait for it to finish training and then we can test it out, okay? Actually, my internet is actually slow, so it might be taking some extra time. It might be fast on your computer, depends on the internet connection of yours. So I'll just wait for it to finish. Okay, so Watson has finished training. Now let's ask. And when I ask a question, you can see that it detects the intent of the user, that is to get the information related to admission, and then it also detects the entity, that is the program that we have created, and then the value of this entity too. So let's say that we want to you can see that it detects both the entities. Okay, you can see this over here. You have the eligibility criteria and the CS2. So that's how it works. Now the third thing that we want to do is, now we'll be creating a dialogue. A dialogue is actually the flow of conversation. So when we go to the dialogue tab and create a dialogue, you would be getting two pre-made nodes that are provided by IBM Watson. And the first one is the welcome node. If I click on it and open it up, you can see that it opens up a new window on the sidebar. This is at the top is the name of the node welcome, and this is the if else condition. So this is a special keyword that is used by sorry about that. This is a special keyword used by IBM Watson Assistant in order to recognize when the bot starts, and this message would be shown every time to the user when the bot is started. So by default it is set to welcome. Don't just change it. What we would be changing is the text that it would provide. So I've already created some text. I'll just copy it from here and paste it over here, and once I'm done I can click over here and it would save it automatically. So now let's just clear the things, and you can see that it says that hello, I'm BTalk, your virtual assistant, and gives the welcome message. Now we have another node over here, anything else that is pre-made. So when the IBM Watson has nothing to tell you about or does not detect any kind of entities um, or intents, it would show these messages. Okay, you can set these messages to random or multi-line, but in this particular instance they are set to sequential. So first this message would be produced. So let's try it. Let me just show you. So let's ask something about YouTube. You know about YouTube, and you can see that it's trying to recognize the intent of the user, but ultimately it would fail. I'm really sorry, my internet is kind of slow, so it's taking some time. Come on. You can see that it says irrelevant. Let's clear it out and let's test it again. You can see that it says that I didn't understand. You can try rephrasing. So I'll type something junk, and you can see that you can reword your statement, I'm not understanding. So let me just show you how it goes through. So these are the core responsibilities of the IBM Watson Assistant, is to understand intents, identify entities, and then manage dialogue. So for managing dialogue, and the structure that it follows is that it starts from the top node, that is the node 1, and then it has every node has a if then condition that is provided over here, if and then if this condition is evaluated to true, then it fires this uh, anything that is present over here in the then section. So it goes to node 1 and then it goes to node 2. The node 2 can have child nodes as well. So when it recognizes the node 2, it can respond with the then clause, or if it doesn't find anything in the then, if the then clause, it can go into child nodes and search for that particular information and provide information from those child nodes. And then if the node 2 the information in the node 2 is not found, then it goes to the node 3, and similarly it goes on. Let me just go back. So in this example you can see that the user asks what are your cupcake flavors. So if cupcake menu, then do you want regular or gluten-free cupcakes? So if the user says, let's say that they want a gluten-free cupcake, so it would go over here, otherwise it would go over here to this node, this child node. So that's the case over here. So if the uh, Watson assistant does not hit any of the nodes over here, the last node that it would hit is the anything else node. Okay, and it would produce these kind of messages for the user to tell them that it didn't understand anything that they said. So these are the two by default nodes. For our entities and intents, we would be creating our own node or a folder. We would be creating a folder in which we would be adding subnodes to. So what we will do is we'll name this folder as admission, and this particular folder or node would be hit when it would recognize the admissions intent. Okay, sorry about this, actually my internet is slow, that's why it's producing so many errors. So this node would be hit if it recognizes the admissions intent. So you can see that I have specified the admission intent by typing in hash and then selecting the admission intent. So I'll just close it. You can see that if I reopen it, uh, why my internet would be so slow today that I have to do work and create a demo. So finally it has updated. So now you can see that the name of the intent is admission, and it would be fired if it recognizes the admission intent. So we'll create a child node by clicking over here at child node, and we would name this node as CS, and This would be fired if it recognizes the program's entity, and then the value of the program entity is, these are the conditions. You can see that is not, greater than, less than. These are for numbers, and these are for text valuations. So if the program is CS, then this condition or this particular instance would be fired. So I already have this copied over here, the text for this. So I'll just copy it from here and paste it over here, and I'll just save it. Similarly, I'll create another child node. I'll just click over here and I can press add node, and it would, oh sorry, let's delete this. It created a node outside the admission folder. And open up the admission folder, select this, and then if I press the add node button, it is intelligent enough to know that I am inside this folder, so it would create a node inside this. So let's create another node for BBA. If we recognize the program intent, program is BBA, and then let's copy the text from here. And I'll just close it. Now let's add another node for engineering @program is engineering. Let's copy the text from here and paste it over here. Let's close this again. And it has added this, and then we'll add another node. And we'll set it to eligibility. We'll just name it eligibility. And over here in the if condition, we'll write true. So if it doesn't recognize any of these values for the program entity, this would be fired in all cases. Okay, so if it recognizes the intent as admission, but it does not uh, recognize any of the values of the entities or any of the entity, then it would eventually go into the eligibility node, and this would always evaluate to true. So this is like kind of a general condition in which we provide all the information. So over here you can see that we offer computer science, business administration, engineering. Each has a different eligibility criteria. Which programs are you interested in? Computer science, business administration, engineering. So over here what we would do is, in the finally clause, now we have come to the bottom of the section, and you can see that there is a finally clause over here at the bottom. We don't need to wait for the user input. What we would do is we would jump to the top node, that is here. You can see that it says select a destination node. So I'll select wait for user input over here, and then you can see that it says jump to CS, wait for user input, then evaluate condition. So what it would do is it would ask the user that, oh sorry, the text didn't copy over here, so I'll have to do it again. I'm really sorry for my slow internet. Okay, so what it would do is it would, if it doesn't recognize any of the entities, it would show this user message to the user, and then if the user selects computer science, business administration, and or engineering, it would go back to the first node in this tree. So it would start searching for the particular value of the entity again. So if the user entered computer science, it would recognize that the program is CS, and that it would show the message that is present in the CS node. Or if it's not CS, if it's BBA, it would again show the message in the BBA, recognize the entity as program and then the value as BBA and show the message over here, and then move on to engineering if it's not BBA and CS, and if it's not three of them, then it would again show you the same message over here. So let's test it out over here. Let's clear the panel out. So let's say that what are the programs offered. So you can see that now it's recognized the program's entity, but the value, we haven't provided any value for the program. You can see this over here. The CS, BBA, engineering, we haven't provided any value. So it would go back to the general eligibility node over here. So it says that we are offering these programs and the eligibility criteria for each of them is different. So let's select computer science, CS. So what it would do is it would jump back over here to this node, and then you can see that it recognizes the program value is CS. So it shows you the message that is present in the CS node over here. So this is how we can build dialogues. Let me just see. Okay, so it's already half an hour of recording, so I'll stop over here, and then we would be continuing in the next lecture about slots and other things that are left. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.